Hello gamers and future friends, I'm Blarglefarg, and I'm here to play the games that you probably haven't heard of or have never played. I want to say right off the bat, to anyone who may not watch the entire video, please play the game Bramble The Mountain King. It will definitely be on my Game of the Year list. It was incredible. Also, please see below for another indie game giveaway. Anyone can join. All it takes is an email for me to send you the Steam keys. Moving on, the games I will be reviewing are AfterImage, Bramble the Mountain King, Hunt the Night, Mail Time, and Planet of Lana. So without further ado, here are my reviews. First up, we have Planet of Lana. If I had stopped playing this game after 2 hours, as I do with some games that I'm just not enjoying, I would have given this a terrible review. The gameplay was a bit boring, the world never changed, puzzles or lack thereof were either easy, non-existent, as some of them just asked you to pass enemies using stealth, but I kept playing and I am glad that I did. When you first start out in Planet of Lana, I was so impressed. They could have easily placed 2 houses here and it would have done the trick. Especially since you're only in this area for a few minutes, so it wouldn't have caused much of a backlash if they did. But they went the extra mile, drawing in people, homes, an entire city of scavengers to really make you feel invested in this world. You then find your sister, where shortly after aliens fall from the sky and start collecting people, including your sister, so you set out to find her. The whole game is the journey to find your sister. You will run into very minor puzzles, most just asking you to sneak past enemies using stealth. I never had to look up a puzzle or how to sneak past an enemy. Everything was, for the most part, simple, straightforward. You eventually team up with this little puppy or rat looking thing that helps you throughout your journey. But I'd like to talk about what these games need to do. So the obvious comparison is Inside. And I like to share what I believe separates Inside from being a very good and defining game for this sort of genre that I believe all similar games should do. In the game Inside, you wake up, you start your journey, you are dropped into this world, and that's it. In doing so, this leads the player to have their own interpretation to the game to allow it to be more meaningful. They tell you next to nothing, but force you to draw your own questions and conclusions based on your surroundings, your emotions, your character as you in the real world. They don't ask you to play a game like everyone else. Sure, everyone played Inside the same if we're talking about where your character was positioned, but not everyone experiences it the same. People drew different conclusions from their own unique personalities because the game allowed them to do so by being so cryptic. Now, Planet of Lana, on the other hand, told you, okay, right off the bat, it's your sister. Told you where you are. They told you, they showed the aliens dropping down. They showed her getting captured. They showed all this to tell you the story, so everyone saw and read the same story. Now, let's imagine if in Planet of Lana, the beginning, had none of that. They drop you into this world, you are fighting to survive, you're sneaking past enemies that you don't know what the hell, with cryptic messages. Yeah, all the characters are in the same location when people play, but maybe I think it's intelligent life in the future, and robots are now taking over, like in Terminator. Or maybe you interpret it as aliens, or someone else might think we're all just in the Matrix. Who knows? The possibilities are endless because the game didn't tell us. This makes the game much more interesting, or as interesting as the player can make it. In the end, let's say you finally find the person you've been searching for. You run up, you hug them, and the scene is emotional. If you don't tell me who that is, I could cry because I imagined it as anyone. I could imagine it was my loving mother. Or you could cry because you lost a friend, or your girlfriend, your boyfriend, brother, father, grandparents. Anything. The player has the ability to make this moment as meaningful as can be, but now I'm limited to imagining being reunited with my sister because they told me it was my sister, which, nothing against my sister. Katie, if you're watching, I love you. Anyways, that's where I think this could have landed perfectly if maybe the story had started out a bit more in the middle, leading me to ask questions rather than just feel like I'm reading a book. that's why I really enjoyed the second half. You will notice they do not tell you anything. They throw curveballs. You're just like, what the hell is going on? The story just gets so much more interesting because I could write it. They weren't writing this part of the book. So yeah, moral of the story, it's a great game, but you're gonna have to power through that first 1 to 2 hours. But yeah, highly recommend. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to draw your attention to one of my favorite bands, Pearl Jam. Specifically their song Wishlist, track number 5 on the album Yield. This song, Wishlist, is sung by singer-songwriter Eddie Vedder, who also did the song for The Last of Us. Anyways, in the song, he gives roughly 30 things he wishes for, including my personal favorite, line 9, "I wish I was a messenger and all the news was good." This is by far my favorite wish on Eddie Vedder's wish list, which brings us to mail time. I can finally say I have lived my dream. Mail time is about a new employed mail scout who has just one job to do, and that is to deliver a message to Greg, but has absolutely no idea who that is. So you start dialogue with NPCs until they all give you very cryptic knowledge about Greg and only tell you more once you've helped them with their problems and deliver their mail. At first, the game may seem intimidating because it doesn't really provide you with a map or any information regarding who anyone is, but you slowly realize that isn't a problem for how well this map is. You never once feel frustrated or angry. You get so involved with these characters to a point you almost want to forget about your current mission. The writing for these characters was amazing. I always find myself skipping dialogue out of boredom or uninteresting things. But these characters' joy, their nervousness, fear, all of it grabs and holds you and makes you invested in the story. Whether it's to help with true love between a goose and a snail, or help a hamster discover the perfect food, or help a mother to love her children who have grown up to resent their parents, like everyone does at a certain age, most likely high school. But they ask you to deliver their paintings so she can love and admire them. Mailtime is in no way a perfect game. I fell through the level multiple times. My friend who recommended the game got stuck between 2 mushrooms and kept bouncing infinitely. Luckily, she was able to wiggle herself out, but there is also a reset location button. So I think they're aware of the problem, but I think this is a good workaround. Mailtime took me 3 hours to 100%. I enjoyed every minute of it, and should a sequel be on the way, the only recommendation I have is to be consistent with the items. When I first started, I ran around the beginning of the level and found nothing. As I went through the world of Mailtime, all needed items were already on the ground and able to be picked up regardless if you started the mission for them or not. So when the mission actually did start, it was like, get this piece of wood, and I was like, okay, done. I already got it. Picked it up like 10 minutes ago, randomly. But then later on the game, I was asked to find this mushroom stuff, and I was like, okay, I can't find it, but there is no way that it's at the beginning of the level. I searched very thoroughly, but it turns out these and only these spawn at the start of the mission, which made me kill like an hour trying to find something that was somewhere that I've already looked. Anyways, to wrap up Mailtime, it was adorable. I had a lot of fun. Maybe if I had a bad day and needed a game to meditate to or make me smile, pick up Mailtime and bring a little joy to your day. Remember, the best defense to a cruel world is a smile, and I promise Mailtime will bring a smile to your face. Alright, Bramble the Mountain King. Guys, seriously, huddle in. Please buy this game. Guys, girls, everybody, buy this game. It will be on my Game of the Year list. I recommend it to all of you. I also recommend, please, either avoid watching for any potential spoilers or skip ahead to the next game and go in as blind as can be. This game is truly incredible. I've been racking my head around trying to figure out how to write this review. I want to keep it long enough to almost force you to buy the game, but quick enough to avoid spoilers, so we're going to try to run through this as quickly but correctly as we can. First off, if you read the reviews, you'll see multiple reviews that compare it to Inside, Little Nightmares, and Shadows of the Colossal. And these are all true. If those 3 games had a baby, it would be identical to this game. It would be this game. I feel I don't even need to discuss gameplay because it's exactly what you would think it is with all 3 of those games combined. If you're a fan of Inside, Shadows of the Colossal, or Nightmares, this is a must-buy. Actually, for anyone, it's a must-buy. Just buy it. As far as the story goes, you start out as a little boy who sets out to find his sister who's run off into the night. You and your sister soon fall off a cliff and find yourself in an Alice in Wonderland scenario where the whole world has changed, you're a lot smaller, and everything wants to kill you. Your sister soon gets captured and you set out to save her. That's the game really, is to find and save your sister. Throughout this journey, you run into bosses in a unique way. One example is once you sort of stumble into the radius of one boss, he lures his victims in with his violin playing. And once you're within his sight, yeah, it gets very intense. It was perfect to have the player as a third person witnessing additional information that the character missed. It adds intensity, it adds fear, it adds more vulnerability that you're unable to communicate with your character and just scream, "Run, you stupid idiot!" or "Turn around!" I think what I love most is the timeline of how everything was laid out. They give all this information about these bosses, you enter an abandoned village, you hear violin playing, all these things come to your senses. They leave you all with hidden messages, asking questions, and then once the boss is defeated, shortly down the road, you come across a storybook that tells the story of the boss, and that is where this game branches out from others. The stories this game tells, holy crap, they hold nothing back. Most developers and stories told will say, oh, we can't say that. That's horrible and frightening, and we're gonna be canceled. Let's keep this a happy ending. These developers said, fuck that. Let's break this person's spirit, and break my spirit they did. It was a very strong wake-up call for a much-needed story of how terrible the world can actually be. It's hard to give a recommendation for how amazing this game was, but the only thing that definitely didn't ruin it, as it was my fault to begin with, but with games like this, it's important for the gameplay to be fluent and try to avoid as many awkward deaths as possible to not kill that suspenseful vibe. A few times the path to be taken was really hard to spot for me, which left for embarrassing moments like this. Oh, did that hit you in the eye? Go ahead, yeah. Oh, yeah! Later, loser! So you sort of want the player to have a fluid experience, to not be paused and brought back to reality during these intense moments. But as I said, these moments were 100% because I was an idiot. This is from a Swedish development team, and I'm dying to know if these are actual children's stories. If not, bravos to you for coming up with these. These were incredible. There's a statue in Germany that literally shows a troll eating children that parents take their kids to when they've been bad. And even Family Guy has that joke where the kid, that tells a story about the kid who had his thumbs cut off. Overall, please buy this game. It's just an insult that Redfall can charge $70 to get so much advertisement time. Same with Gollum, and all these people just sit around and wait for the next big thing when it is literally sitting right in front of you. How this can fly so far under the radar. To not give this game the attention it needs just felt almost criminal, but that's just me. Alright, AfterImage review. When I first booted up AfterImage, or any Metroidvania, I always do the same thing. I get expectations incredibly high, just to be let down that I'm not playing Hollow Knight. Because nothing can beat Hollow Knight in terms of Metroidvanias, but what does happen with every Metroidvania that I play, each game has that one thing that makes me happy that I played it. Something I look forward to other games expanding on in the future. Okay, let's say Ori. That's a Metroidvania. I think what really stands out are the visuals. Hollow Knight was an all-around amazing game, but what really stood out was the exploration. You could literally go in any direction and you'll find something at the end of that path. Or whenever you die, you're never going to take the same path twice because you can go so many different directions. Blasphemous had incredible enemy design. Ender Lilies. It was incredible to summon defeated bosses and enemies to fight with you. Moonscars for its combat. Hell, even Haiku the Robot for its creativity. All these games exceeded in their own ways. Which brings us to AfterImage. There is nothing fucking exceeding anywhere on this fucking game. Graphics out. It's like they just painted a background and placed a shit character design on it. Exploration out. You go the entirety in one direction and end up with, you guessed it, absolutely fucking nothing. Have one shit weapon throughout the whole thing. You can't summon anything. Loot sucks. It's like if an AI was asked to make a video game. There was nothing I could say positive about this game. And to be fair, I didn't play it very long, but believe me when I say I got the gist. The reason I stopped playing is due to the fact that I wasn't having fun. Plain and simple. If you've been watching this video, have you noticed anything about the enemies? Maybe the fact that every fucking attack staggers them? These enemies are so fucking brain dead. They don't know how to use their goddamn weapons. They could pull their bows to the fullest and a simple attack will end it. What happened? Well, I was pulling my bow back and then he hit me and now I gotta start over. The second reason I stopped playing was because I went the entire fucking route, this whole fucking way, up all these enemies, 2 bosses, countless jumps, 0 loot, got lost after all this fucking time, died to some bullshit, and the game spawns me back all the way back here and was like, hey, nice job getting there, but do it again. And I was like, no, absolutely will not be doing that again. You can go fuck yourselves. For any of you who played Getting Over It, you know the feeling of progressing through a game just for all that to be taken away and go back to the start. It's fucking worse here. There was nothing positive about this game. It did not go in its way at all. You name it, they didn't do it. I don't even know what the fucking story was. I don't even know what was happening. Just doing shit. Just in case any of the developers decided to tune in, just remember one thing. No one watches my channel, and I paid for your game, so the joke is very much on me. There, stay happy. I never want to be the reason someone is upset. Okay, last but not least, because that award goes to AfterImage, is Hunt the Night. Right off the bat, I loved this game. I wasn't sure what to expect with this one. As I've said 100 times, I went in as blind as can be. But this game struck a remarkable resemblance to a Souls-like more than any pixel game like this. So far, in terms of game that resembles this one, let's see. Okay, I've played Death's Gambit, Eldest Souls, Morbid, The Second Acolytes, and There Is No Light. Of all these games, I truly believe Hunt the Night did best with this type of genre. You start out in this sort of castle, and you find yourself with dying NPCs that ask you for their help. The beginning feels pretty linear. You gain a few abilities, defeat 2 bosses, and then something I love happens. Do you all remember the first time playing Dark Souls? You run around in a dark forest, it's pretty gloomy, and you're like, yeah, this is kind of cool, you know, it's a cool game. And then, do you remember the feeling you get when after you defeat the Iron Golem, and you are sent to Anor Londo, and you were like, hold up, what? This game just exploded. You couldn't even understand your emotions, it was so beautiful. Well, this game captures absolutely nothing like that, but it is as close as a game with these graphics and gameplay can get. You defeat the boss inside the castle, and all of a sudden, people come back, they fix it up, and the place is loaded with animals, NPCs, and you do get that feeling of, hold up, where did this come from? This game expands so much in the blink of an eye, you have to stop to admire it. Very few games execute this accurately. Does anyone remember the time Steve Jobs announced the price of the iPad? He starts out showing the price at $999 to get everyone feeling sort of, I don't know how I feel, it's a lot of money. And then he slams it down with a $500 price tag, and everyone loses their fucking shit, even though in hindsight, they are still about to give this man half a fucking grand. That is a lot of fucking money. But it's still built on your emotions. I love it when a game takes this path. It starts out with not bad, but simple gameplay, world design, okay, where's this going? It's like, I don't know, man, it's starting to feel a little dull. And then, BAM! It slaps that metaphorical $500 display on you, opening up to an entire world that will lead you saying, hold up. Once in the world, you will need to explore to progress the story. At times it may get confusing. I definitely got confused. But luckily, if you take a wrong path or a repeated path, it isn't too big to make you feel like your time was worthless or you wasted your time. There's a hub area where you can upgrade your gear, get more Estus, stuff like that. There is also a mark list of enemies, which is what I really like. These sort of act, as I'm aware, of a side quest for the game. They never felt required, regardless if you did them or not. I was still able to progress through the story. This gentleman here will give you an enemy to hunt with a brief image of where the beast tomb is. You will buy the contract, and through exploration, you will find these eyes on the walls behind these graves, which will open a portal for you to fight the enemy. Once killed, you then collect the vial to increase your health, though this is not the only way to increase your health. There are statues that do that as well throughout the world. I played for roughly 4 hours and beat 3 bosses, including the 2 tutorial ones to free up the castle. The game does make you do the one thing that you don't want to do playing video games. You are going to have to read. This is a perfect example. In this house it said, I know there's a way in the basement. So you just know, okay, there's going to be a secret ledge or a secret hatch or something. And there was. I went behind the house, and if I hadn't read, no one would have ever seen this. There's a random button that just opens the basement. If you're a fan of Souls-like genre, or any of the 4 games I named previously that are this genre, I recommend grabbing this one. I haven't beaten it yet, but it seems pretty short as there are only 7 bosses and very few upgrades in gear. As far as recommendation, there really isn't much, just some of the enemies. I do take the attack, dodge, attack, jump away, attack, jump away. And this sometimes can be overdone to making gameplay feel dull, but in the long run, a lot of enemies didn't have that, so it was all around a great time. And we are going to end it there, ladies and gentlemen. So Bramble the Mountain King, buy the game. AfterImage isn't that good, but Bramble the Mountain King, buy the game. Hunt the Night, if you like those pixelated Souls-likes, you should pick Bramble the Mountain King, buy the game. And lastly, Lana, Planet of Lana, highly recommend, but Bramble the Mountain King, go buy that game.